Realtors.
Welcome to the Ask the Experts show with local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Enjoy being educated in such topics as personal injury law, community association law, family law, bankruptcy law, along with health show topics like pain management, men's health, and dental implants. Now, sit back and enjoy today's Ask the Experts with host Steve-O.
Hey, we are on. It's a nice sunny day in Boca Raton, Florida, and my nose is growing. It is crummy out there, but it's okay because we are, for the next hour, this is the Ask the Expert show. We have on our show today somebody who I am telling, we never got so many emails requesting that we do a show on real estate law and business law. And we were, as always, lucky to find one of the, she can't say this, but I can, to find one of the top real estate and business attorneys. Welcome, Marlon Weiner.
Thank you.
Attorney Marlon Weiner.
Thank you, Steve. It's great to be here with you.
I'm so excited about this show because you do, and if it involves real estate, you do it.
That's true.
And then I got to tell everybody, starting next month, we are so excited. We are going from 6 to 7 p.m. on Mondays and Thursdays. So we're really going to be drive time. We can take you home. Today, we're going to be talking about real estate law. Marlon, tell us about your law firm.
Okay, I'm a solo practitioner here in Florida. I have offices in Boca Raton and Aventura, and my practice is pretty much split between real estate transactions and business transactions. I'm also a title and closing agent for all kinds of closings.
What do you like better? Do you like real estate law or business law better?
I like whatever I'm working on, really, at that
good
moment.
answer. Good answer. But God, with all the real estate going on down here, that is, and I know because there's a lot of pages.
It's what Florida is really all about.
It is.
1,000 people a week move to Florida, and most
Probably
of
from
them,
New York.
a lot from the Northeast, and ultimately most of them do become homeowners here. And that's
Right.
the beauty of Florida. There's real estate in every price point, and it's where everybody seems to end up.
Boy, the Sawgrass, that whole Sawgrass Mall area, what they're doing over there, they are building so many high-rises there, and people are, thanks to Mr. de Blasio, are moving to Florida. And besides today, usually our weather is great here. How long have you been practicing?
I've been practicing since 1981, so you can do the math, a long time. I've been in Florida.
But you're only 36 years old.
I was a child attorney. I've been in Florida since 2005, so I've been practicing here since 2005. I'm also licensed in New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, but just practice in Florida at this time.
Very good. So we're going to be, now you do cover Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach.
Correct, and I actually also do work on the West Coast, up in Jacksonville, stuff outside of Tampa, really wherever my clients need me.
There seems so many investors buying real estate down here.
Yes, we have a lot of foreign investment.
Yes,
particularly in Miami. Foreign investors love Miami high-rises. And Broward, we have a tremendous amount of investment from Canadians.
I never knew it was broken down like that.
It really,
and then the president's going to go back to Palm Beach.
Well, yes, so it seems.
Yes. So if you know of somebody who wants to invest in real estate property down here, it would be great for them to call you. You got to have an attorney to do this.
Absolutely. I mean, and we get the question.
Don't do this yourself.
Well, we get the question all the time because a lot of, people say, well, my realtor said I don't really need an attorney. And there are some transactions that can go smoothly without an attorney. It is possible. But when you hit a glitch, when you hit a roadblock, when you hit a bump, you really do need an attorney.
Right. And sometimes it's better to do it up front.
Well, I best serve you when I'm involved from the very beginning. Okay? We can avoid a lot of problems if I review a contract.
You know all the problems.
Basically, yes.
Exactly.
I can anticipate where you're going to have an issue. And if I review a contract before you've signed it, I can fix it. But once you've signed it, I can't change what you signed.
It's so funny.
And
People
that's-
want to do things.
And that's the issue. And a lot of folks come, for example, from New Jersey, which has a 3-day attorney review clause. We don't have that in Florida. And they get,
What is that?
well, if you sign a contract in New Jersey that is realtor prepared, it has an automatic 3-day attorney review clause. You basically can cancel it. Your
Oh, oh,
attorney cancels the contract for you. We don't have that automatic provision in Florida, but people who come from New Jersey are used to that, and they're
Gotcha.
shocked when I tell them that, no, we don't have that. So,
you
best
have a checklist in your mind
always.
that the normal Joe does not have this checklist, and there can easily be something that they forget because they were trying to save money to do it themselves.
Also, yes, and obviously attorneys are looking for things that, the layperson would not know to look for. Okay, we kind of know where the bodies are buried, so to speak.
I got you. So let's talk about tax bills just went out.
Yeah, the tax bills just went out. I've gotten so many calls in the last week or two about the tax bills. For people who it's their first time owning real estate in Florida, the big surprise is that we pay our taxes in arrears.
Okay.
So the bill that you just received in November is for 2019. It's for the taxes for the period January 1, 2019 to December 31st.
No matter what county.
No matter what county, this is how we bill in Florida.
Okay.
So we're paying in arrears. That's the first thing. Second thing is you get a discount in Florida. If you pay that bill by the end of November, it's a 4% discount.
Oh, so it's worth it.
Absolutely. 3% December, 2% January, 1% February. So it's important to take advantage of the discount. People also ask, well, can I appeal, the tax assessment, my bill? Yes, but it's too late for this year.
Right.
Okay? The time to appeal that assessment was in August.
Always in August every year.
It's called the trim notice. It's the estimate.
Well, when do you get the notice?
You get it in August. Okay? You
So
get an
that's when you have to
estimate. You get
appeal.
an estimate of what the property appraiser is proposing what the new tax bill will be. And you've got a tight window. It's basically a 30-day window to submit an appeal if you have the grounds for one. But once that appeal period expires, you've got to wait till your next cycle.
What?
So-
And you're appealing to the state?
No, to the Value Petition Board, which is at the county level.
Okay.
The county level.
Do you ever get involved in appeals?
I don't handle tax appeals, but I can always refer somebody. There's lots of good counsel that will handle them. And also people can do it themselves. I recommend an expert, but, people can handle them. They can submit a petition themselves.
You're new to the show. I got to tell you, I get so upset when people think that they can handle these things by themselves, and it's usually to try to save money. But it always comes around to bite them in the butt, and it ends up costing them so much more.
Cost them
and I hear these stories all the time.
And you're also talking about something that could save you a lot of money ultimately. If you've got a bad assessment, you're paying, your property's been wrongly assessed. Getting a reduction in your taxes is a significant savings over time, which kind of leads us into something you and I were talking about, which is the homestead exemption.
The homestead.
Which is
Why
one
do
of
people not understand that?
one of the most valuable, programs we have in Florida is the homestead exemption, which is available to Florida residents if your home is your primary residency. Okay?
What makes it your primary residence?
It's a combination of intent and occupancy.
Okay, how long you're there for?
Yes, it has to be that you really do live in Florida. It is your residency. It's basically more than 6 months and a day in the calendar year. But truly, you live there. Your driver's license
But
is
you might
there.
also live in New York.
You might have a second home elsewhere, but Florida is your primary
Okay.
residence. And
How do you make it your primary residence? Is it about how long you live there out of the year?
It's length of time, of course. I mean, you have to live in Florida the required number of days per calendar year. But you also, living in Florida requires that basically you live your life in Florida. Your bank accounts are here.
Ah,
Your driver's
okay.
license is here. Your auto is registered here. You vote here. You file your tax returns from Florida. Your investment accounts are here. Your library
You have
card
a lot
is
of ways
here.
to prove it.
Yes, and there's, a laundry list of items.
Do you apply for homestead exemption?
Yes, and homestead exemption, and it's you've got to fit into the box when it's time to file for homestead exemption. To be eligible for homestead exemption in Florida, you must have owned the property as of January 1 of that year. So, for
Okay.
argument's sake, you would be applying for a 2020 homestead for a property. You must own it, deed of record, as of January 1st, 2020.
Or you have to wait till the next year?
Exactly. You've got to wait to the next year. You have to have your driver's license, your auto registration, and your voter ID all at that property address. And
So you have to go there, physically go there to show them everything?
well, most of the counties have an application that can be filed
Okay.
online, though they also accept in-person applications. But you have to file by March 1st of the year that you're applying for. I mean, you could own the property for 5 years, but maybe it wasn't your primary residence,
Right.
but you're ready for 2020. But you've got to file your application by March 1st
Okay.
of 2020, have all your ducks in a row, your documents into the property appraiser, they'll review your package, presumably you'll get your exemption. And that does a number of things for you. It sets your base value for real estate taxes going forward. So you will get your exemption. Essentially, it's a bit of a formula, but basically, the first $50,000 of value is exempt from tax. So there's a tax savings. And on a going forward basis, your increases on annual real estate taxes are capped at 3% a year.
Okay.
So in a time of rising values, which fortunately we are in again, that's a big savings. Okay, so it's your taxes are not going to rise with market value. Okay, they're going to be locked in at no more than a 3% annual increase.
Marlon, you should have been a professor. It's so easy to follow you. What about now? Is this a good time to buy a house?
I think it's always
Rates
a good.
are way
It's
down.
always a good time to buy a house. Rates are great, and I think for most people, especially with mortgage rates where they are, home ownership on a monthly basis is probably less money than rent
Wow.
for a lot of people. I mean, the numbers are going to be individual to that person, but
What would you say to a first-time home buyer? They're going to buy a home for the first time. What is the process, and what should they be looking for?
I think the first thing a first-time home buyer has to do is figure out what they can afford. Okay,
Monthly payments?
monthly payments, what their budget is, what should I even be looking at? And so the first thing a first-time home buyer has to do is work with either a mortgage broker, a bank, some sort of financial institution to get pre-qualified.
Okay.
Have to figure
Do that first before
you
you
got
start
to
looking
do
at
that
houses.
first. Okay, you've got to figure out what can I afford? What's my budget? And also find out, am I ready from a credit standpoint? Okay, are there blemishes on my credit that I've got to fix? Do I need more savings? Do we not have enough down payment yet? Get somebody to look at your picture to figure out, am I ready to be a buyer?
So there's people that do this.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
A good mortgage broker, a good banker will be able to pre-qualify you and also tell you, what, if it's you're a little premature, these are the steps you need to take.
Because
to
Fannie
be able-
Mae did a horrible job back when. I mean, everybody, it didn't matter how much you had
Well, we
or
went.
didn't have.
Yes, and that we had everybody. The world crashed on
I know,
us.
I
Okay,
know.
so
Is it tougher now to qualify?
it is tougher, but we still have programs. I mean, FHA is still a fantastic program for first-time home buyers and for others, even not first-time home buyers, because it's a low down payment program. And that's the great thing about it, is that people can get in with basically a 3.5% down payment.
Wow.
It can be gift money. So there's some wonderful opportunities out there for financing for first-time home buyers. And,
Are there some tax saving tips at all for a home buyer? Remember, they've never owned a home before.
well, they will get the benefits of, deductions for real estate taxes and interest. Of course, we do have caps on the deduction for real estate taxes and interest on the most recent tax laws. But there still are great benefits.
How's the real estate market down here? It's got to be booming because you hear so many people from New York want to get out of the big taxes and even California.
I mean, the realtors are better to address it than me. But I think, from my vantage point, I still see the single-family home market as extremely strong. I do. I think people still want to live in single-family homes. I think the condo market in Miami now is got a lot of overbuilding again. So there's a tremendous inventory there that's been built again with, a wave of, new construction. But I think in the single-family market, we don't have much land left to build on in Broward, Palm Beach County, Miami-Dade. There's very little land
investors
left.
all out of the country. Investors all want the high rise.
They want
in
the
Miami.
high rise because they want maintenance-free ownership.
Ah, that's the reason.
That's the reason for them. They can't be bothered with maintaining a home, so they want maintenance-free. If they want to rent it out, they want an easy rental situation. The single-family home is really for the owner-occupant, and there's very little land left here. So
we went over the preparation for the first-time home buyer. Now you found a home. Now what?
Well, one step back, you've got to work with a good realtor to find a home. It's hard to do it on your own, okay?
Any suggestions how to choose? There's so many realtors down here.
Obviously, you interview people. Always, I think referral is always the best place to start. Friends, family who've had a good experience with somebody, that's a great place to start. Sometimes if you've identified certain neighborhoods that you're really interested in, you'll kind of see who are the go-tos in that neighborhood. It becomes obvious,
Right.
That's a way, to find somebody to work with and interview people. See if you've got a little bit of chemistry, because I think that helps. It really does help.
And I also think, don't go above your means.
No, and that's what the
It's the best way to get into trouble.
Exactly, and that's where the pre-qualifying comes in. Know what your budget is, know what you should be looking at, and especially for first-time home buyers. It's a new world for
Are
them.
there different types of contracts when you're buying a home?
Basically, in our area, in Florida, most realtors, most real estate attorneys use what are called the FAR bar contracts. And these are the contracts that have been jointly developed by the Florida Association of Realtors and the Florida Bar. And these their committees have spent hours and hours putting these together.
So you can trust those contracts.
Yes, and they're revised very frequently, and they try to address the what-ifs. And so most of the professionals use these contracts.
The show is going so fast. I just looked at the clock. It's already 5:20. We got to go to commercial break.
All right, sounds
We're going to
good.
go to break, and we come back more with Marlon Weiner.
The law firm of Marlon J. Weiner, PA, is a small, focused South Florida law firm delivering high-quality legal services in a personal way. Her firm concentrates on real estate law, business transaction, and acting as a title and closing agent. Attorney Weiner combines over 30 years of solid real estate and business law expertise with understanding and compassion for her clients' needs. Attorney Marlon Weiner works with homeowners and local and foreign real estate investors who are buying and selling Florida real estate. She assists with deed transfers, residential and commercial sales and leases, title insurance, first-time home buying, and loan closings. Whether you are buying or selling residential or commercial real estate, you need sound legal advice. The law office of Marlon J. Weiner, PA, can help. To schedule a consultation, please call 561-443-7124.
We are back. We're here today. We're doing our real estate show on Ask the Experts. We're here with attorney Marlon Weiner. She has an office both in Hollywood and Boca Raton. Give everybody your phone number.
561-443-7124 in Boca, and in our Aventura office, 305-725-4971.
What is your website? You got such a great website.
Thank you.
I've been bragging on it since I met you today.
Thank you. www.mwfloridalaw.com.
And you can actually go back probably by the weekend or by Monday and go to Marlon's website and actually watch today's show. It'll be up on her website. What is earnest money?
Earnest money is
The deposit.
Is the deposit, and everybody asks about it all the time. How much of a deposit do I have to put down? Where is my deposit?
Yes,
Can
right.
I lose my deposit? A lot of realtors and real estate attorneys will say that the standard in the industry is a 10% deposit,
Okay.
10% of the purchase price. There's no law that it has to be 10%. It is negotiable.
Up to the seller.
Seller and buyer to negotiate. So there are some sellers that will stand firm, won't take less than a 10% deposit. There are others that will negotiate. So that's between buyer and seller. What I typically like to
What is this saying? I'm putting a deposit down, and
Okay.
in turn, you're going to do what?
Well, it's the deposit is required when you sign the contract, or typically within 3 days of the effective date. The effective date of a contract is the date that the last party signs or initials the last change. Then we know we've got a contract.
Okay.
And the deposit is due either that day or sometimes it's within 3 days after that. But that deposit is due. That makes the contract binding. But it's
What
how
if I'm
much?
not happy?
Well, depends.
Okay.
It all depends. Okay, it depends what your contract says.
So it's spelled out in the contract.
Yes, and that's why it's so important to have guidance, review, advice before you sign that contract.
Because you could lose your entire deposit.
If you don't have, the outs, okay, you don't have those what we call contingencies.
Are those harder, though, to get signed off on?
No, not necessarily. It depends what you're asking for. Okay, what is typical to get is certainly an inspection.
Okay.
Length of time might be negotiated. Is it going to be 7 days, 10 days, or 15 days? But, most buyers are going to insist on an inspection. I think they should have it.
Because I know everything about real estate. I watch Million Dollar Listing, Los Angeles and New York. So I know everything.
Right. Well, everybody, until you start poking around on the
Yes.
property that you want to buy.
Right.
And so you want to inspect the
So that's
property.
important.
Extremely important.
If you back out, you could lose your entire deposit.
If you don't back out within the terms of your contract.
Right.
And that's what's critical. And one thing that's absolutely critical, in Florida contracts, dates matter. Extremely important. So, for example, if you have a 10-day inspection that permits you to have an inspection, and if you're not happy, terminate within your 10-day inspection period. Don't raise your hand on day
'Cause
11.
you might find out some things about the house
course.
you're not happy with.
Exactly. Don't raise your hand on day 11 and say, I'm canceling, because
Right.
guess what? You blew it, okay? Or you might have a financing contingency. Typical financing
I don't get a loan.
exactly is 30 days is the typical time frame to get a loan commitment. If you don't get your loan commitment in 30 days, you've got to raise your hand and say, I didn't get it. I'm exercising my right to cancel. But if you don't raise your hand, you've blown that opportunity.
Again, where does that money sit at?
It can be in a variety of places. It might be one of the realtor's offices are holding the escrow deposit. It might be a title company. It might be the buyer's attorney. It might be the seller's attorney. That is also negotiated. But any of those parties that
I would never think that would be negotiable.
well,
Where the money actually sits at.
actually, it does.
Wow.
Yes, actually, it and it can be fought about sometimes.
And I didn't know you could negotiate
Well,
the
some,
deposit.
Yes, you can. And what I typically try to do is have whatever the deposit is, I typically try to have a smaller amount when we sign, and then the balance due after my client is satisfied with the inspection.
Okay.
So let's not put up the whole thing until we know we're staying in the deal. Because if we're going to cancel, I'd rather be fighting to get back the smaller deposit than the bigger
Do you ever
deposit.
have to fight the person that's holding the deposit,
I have had clients involved in deposit disputes, yes.
even though they have a contract?
Yes, and what happens is, and we all have to follow the same rules, okay? Whether the realtor holds a deposit, seller's attorney, buyer's attorney, we're all escrow agents, and we're all bound by the same rules, which is we have to follow the terms of the contract. We cannot release those deposits except within the terms of the contract, which is typically according to written directions of buyer and seller or a court order.
Wow.
We can't make our own unilateral decision. Oh, I agree with your argument. Here's the money. We can't do that. So our hands are tied. And that's where we get into some difficulties.
Okay, now don't get mad. I'm going to ask you a question that is a little different than on our papers.
Sure.
Why should I retain you?
Because you're going to have somebody who's going to be with you from the beginning of the transaction to the end, highly experienced, but who cares? Really, really cares about her clients.
I think we can tell that in your voice. I think we can. You've got the experience, and we talked about, and you have jumped hoops to get your practice where it is now. It just didn't come easy for you.
No.
And you've built up a fine practice. When you're choosing an attorney, it's so important that you have a good feeling about the attorney, because you have to trust them.
Exactly. There has to be a connection. There has to be trust. And I always say with clients, we walk before we run. You know what I mean? We develop a relationship over time, and I've been truly blessed with clients that we have. They're friends. Okay, we are loyal to each other, and we've had a lot of interesting times.
And you get a lot of referrals from people who have retained you to their friends, their family members.
Absolutely.
And that's got to say something. You're actually going to be back with us next week because we're going to do a business show together.
Yep.
And
Very excited.
your first show went so well. Give everybody your phone number again.
Once again, in Boca, it's 561-443-7124. In Aventura, it's 305-725-4971.
Got to give me your website, too.
www.mwfloridalaw.com.
Wow, this is going to be such a great show. See, we do read your emails. We listen to you. We're going to go to a break right now. Again, this is attorney Marlon Weiner. She'll be back with us again next week. We're going to be talking about business law. So all you business owners, you don't want to miss this show. We're going to go to break. And we come back, we have attorney Shane Farnsworth, our personal injury attorney. We'll be right back.
The law firm of Marlon J. Weiner, PA, is a small, focused South Florida law firm delivering high-quality legal services in a personal way. Her firm concentrates on real estate law, business transaction, and acting as a title and closing agent. Attorney Weiner combines over 30 years of solid real estate and business law expertise with understanding and compassion for her clients' needs. Attorney Marlon Weiner works with homeowners and local and foreign real estate investors who are buying and selling Florida real estate. She assists with deed transfers, residential and commercial sales and leases, title insurance, first-time home buying, and loan closings. Whether you are buying or selling residential or commercial real estate, you need sound legal advice. The law office of Marlon J. Weiner, PA, can help. To schedule a consultation, please call 561-443-7124.
As an experienced personal injury attorney, Shane Farnsworth understands now for a free consultation. That's 561-272-8337. You are listening to the Ask the Expert Show with host Steve-O. We will be right back with more experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Join us every Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. Now, get ready for more Ask the Experts.
Hey, we are back. I got to tell you that this next show topic is the most asked about topic between auto accidents and slip and falls. And we've had Shane Farnsworth with us now for about a year, and he's going to stay with us, which I'm really excited about. Don't forget, starting next month, our shows go 6 to 7 on Mondays and Thursdays. We're going to talk a little auto accidents today, injuries. I got to tell you, we got so many calls from your client who came on the show.
Yeah, I had
She did great.
Yeah, we had a client who found us through the radio show. She came in. We were able to get her case finished up, and she was super happy with how we did.
She was so happy.
Yep, so I asked her to come on and to give her perspective as a client. I know we come on and I talk about all the time what I do, but it's helpful to understand if you are injured and you're going through the process, what is that process as a client as opposed to, what I'm doing as an attorney.
First of all, I got to tell you, are you sorry baseball season's over with?
My team didn't make it to the playoffs anyway, so not so much. I actually played in a baseball tournament about 3 weeks ago over in Fort Myers for a week. So,
What position are you?
I generally play first base.
Okay.
I was a pitcher, but I play first base. I am left-handed, yes. Uh-huh.
Well, you go, is it every year?
To the baseball
You
tournament?
go to a different ballpark?
Oh, that's different. That's the baseball trip I do that with. I have a couple of friends from elementary school, one from law school, and every year we do a trip to a different city for a major league ballpark. So we've
How
been
many
to quite a
cities
few.
have you been to?
I think at this point we've probably been to about 10, 12 maybe.
What's your favorite ballpark?
Well, my favorite is Fenway, but
Oh, yeah. How did you get tickets to Fenway?
a lot of times to do it, you have to get them through a broker.
Oh.
Yeah, so they're generally sold out.
Them and
so-
Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, the Cubs as well. To get tickets, it's not necessarily easy. I think I haven't been to Fenway now. It's been about 3 or 4 years since the last time I was there. I don't think it's as difficult, but yeah, for a time there, you had to go through a broker, and you'd end up paying about 2.5 times the face value of the ticket for your seat. So it wasn't
Wow.
an easy prospect.
Well, because we've always got new people tuning into the show for the first time. Tell everybody about your practice.
Sure. I'm located in Delray Beach. My office is across the street from the new iPic Theater, so if you know where that is, that's where I'm located. I've been there.
Easy to find.
Yeah, it's easy to find right off Atlantic Avenue. I've been there since 1999. I've been practicing since 1998. I'm a solo practitioner. I have sort of a small boutique practice. We do most of our business is personal injury cases, so we do auto accidents, slip and falls,
Property damage.
We've made it through the hurricane season, I think. We're
Yeah,
not completely
maybe.
out, but I believe we'll probably get through this year. But we do those types of cases in addition to general civil litigation. Like I said, we've been there since 1999. We're easy to find, but we do cases not just in Palm Beach County. We do cases throughout the state of Florida. Primarily Palm Beach, Broward are the two main counties we work in, but we do represent people on the west coast of Florida, central Florida, the northeast portion of Florida.
I got to tell you something. Every time I see an auto accident in town, the first thing I think about is I know a great attorney, because everybody says they do personal injury, but you really take it to a different level, and it's not the coolest thing to go over to someone when they've been in an accident and give them or tell them to call you, because I trust you so much. And I know there's attorneys out there who maybe don't deliver as well as you do. And I got to tell you, it's every time I see an accident, and look at the weather tonight, it's probably all kind of accidents out there. But it is so important, if you're in an automobile accident, you contact you right away and not wait.
Yeah, we've talked about before that, the sooner you're represented, the better. It's a confusing situation if you're in an accident. There's different things going on. You'll have different insurance companies. You'll have different types of claims, and navigating that on your own, like I said, can be very confusing. And we've talked about it before.
They hound you. The insurance company.
And we've talked about it before.
They want to get it
that
settled.
The insurance company is going to call you. They're going to ask you for a statement. If you don't know what it is that they're going to ask you and understand why it is they're asking you those questions, you can do or say things that can affect the value of your claim down the road. So, the sooner you're represented, the better, because what happens is once you have an attorney, the insurance companies can't contact
That's
you
right.
directly. They have to go through your legal representative, and that gives you a level of protection.
Shane, I cannot understand, because we're going to talk about the way you charge, I cannot understand why a person would not get on the phone with an attorney right away, because it isn't going to cost you anything until the case is settled. They don't have to bring a check to your office that first day.
No, when you're talking about personal injury cases, which we always talk about, that's sort of an umbrella term. That under that you have auto accidents, slip and falls, bicycle accidents, dog bites,
Boats.
trucks, boats, wrongful death. There's all kinds of cases under that umbrella. But in personal injury cases, we use what's called a contingency fee agreement. It's governed by the Florida Bar, so
Everybody
uses the same one, and the fee structure is basically if your case is resolved prior to having to litigate it, if we recover any money for you, we get 33 1/3%. If the case has to be litigated, obviously that requires more
You've got
time
new
and effort.
expenses.
Yeah, more expenses, but the your fee goes to 40% in litigation. So if we don't recover any money for you, it doesn't cost you anything. So
Right.
in the personal injury realm of things, you really don't. It doesn't make sense not to be represented, because I can tell you we have a case that just got resolved last week that's been in litigation for about 1.5 years now.
So you went to court?
Yes, before it didn't go to trial. It resolved before trial, but before we filed the case, they had made an offer. They were claiming an issue with liability. In Florida, before you ever get to your damages in a personal injury case, you have to prove liability. So, they were making excuses. They made, essentially a very low offer. We didn't accept
That's their
that.
job, though, isn't it?
Well, they don't make money by paying claims. They make money
Right.
by collecting premiums. So we rejected that offer. We realized, they were playing hardball, weren't going to go any further at that point. We filed the suit. We went through the litigation process, and we settled it last Friday for more than 20 times what they offered us
Wow.
pre-suit. So
Good for you.
Yeah. So it helps to have someone who understands how the process works, to be able to represent you, because insurance companies, like we were just saying, they're not in business to pay out claims. They're in business to collect premiums. That's how
Exactly.
they make money. So
And, we say this on the show all the time. Don't try to do this yourself to save money, because I'm telling you, I've actually been through it with my son, and he says today, Dad, I wish I would have hired an attorney. We didn't get anything near, because that's the only thing that's going to get their attention, is when you have an attorney.
yeah, that generally, when you have someone who can file a lawsuit against them, that makes them a little more on guard and more willing to act in good faith and trying to resolve a claim. If you're on your own, the adjuster, they're not an attorney, but they work in that field. They're trained
They're
in that
very
field.
good at what they do.
Yeah, they know what they're doing. They go to trainings all the time for it. And, their job is to save their client, which is the insurance company, money. So to do that, they want to get your claim settled for the smallest amount possible, as quickly as possible, to eliminate their liability for having to pay damages. And if they can save money, that ultimately insurance companies have shareholders, and those shareholders want to see profits, and that's how you get profits. You collect more premiums than you pay in claims.
This is probably the dumbest question, but if you're in a wreck, whether it's your fault or not, your insurance pays for your damages. The other party insurance pays for their damages.
I think what you're referring to is PIP coverage.
Yes.
In the state of Florida, the only coverages you're actually required to have are PIP, which is personal injury protection, and property damage. PIP, we're a no-fault state, so regardless of who causes the accident, the first $10,000 of your medical bills gets paid by your PIP coverage. One caveat to that, and I know we've talked about
But
this in
the
other
other
shows.
insurance has to pay for your damages, though, if it's not your fault.
If you have damages beyond the PIP, yes, they would. If they have bodily injury coverage, and you have injuries and they get a PIP set off for the $10,000 in PIP benefits. But if you have damages beyond that, if they have bodily injury coverage, that's where that insurance will come into play. And that's what I was talking about earlier. When you get into an accident, there's multiple claims that are going on. You have one, your PIP claim, which is going to be dealing with you getting to the doctor and getting those bills paid. That's through your insurance company. You're going to have, if the accident wasn't your fault, you're going to have a bodily injury claim against the other person who caused it for damages, that exceed what PIP is going to pay. And you're also going to have a property damage claim related to your car, and that could be a bit confusing as well, because you'll have, assuming you have comp and collision coverage on
Right.
your policy, you have two choices. You can either go through your own policy, and if you have a deductible, you have to pay the deductible. Or, in the alternative, if the other person was at fault and they're accepting liability, you can get your car fixed through their policy, through their property damage. Property damage coverage is what it sounds like. It pays to fix property that you damage as a result of your negligence. So if you hit someone's car or you run into someone's fence, then your property damage will come into play.
You've got to pay your car insurance also. My company emails me when it's my next payment. I didn't get their email. I count on that email coming in to pay for my auto insurance. Guess what happens when you don't make that payment?
Well, they're supposed to give you notice before they cancel you, but if you don't
This
pay,
is worse.
well, if they cancel you, you don't have insurance, and now you're not driving legally. So
They take your driver's license away. They suspend it.
they can suspend it, yes.
Yes.
And then if you get pulled over, and you're
You're
going
really
to
in
get a
trouble.
ticket for driving under suspension. There's
And
a
the
couple.
police don't want to hear about, hey, about your email. I got it straightened out, but never thought you could lose your driver's license.
Yeah, you can. And, another coverage that's important, I know we've talked about, and I actually had a conversation. I had a client come in yesterday who gave a statement to her insurance company to get qualified for her PIP coverage. And it won't help her this time around. But during the conversation, we realized she doesn't have bodily injury coverage, which if she injured somebody else, it would pay for that. But in this case, she wasn't at fault. But if the person who hit her doesn't have bodily injury coverage, you need to have uninsured motorist coverage. Now, that's not a coverage you're required to purchase, but it's incredibly important, because if Steve is driving
You
and he
are
doesn't
so
have
right.
insurance, even if you don't know it, or somebody else
Yeah.
just doesn't bother to get it, or you could be driving legally and have PIP and property damage, but no BI. If you injure somebody else, there's no coverage to pay for those injuries. So uninsured motorist is one of the most important coverages you can have. It is important to understand, before you can get uninsured motorist coverage, you have to buy bodily injury coverage. You can buy uninsured motorist coverage up to the limits of your bodily injury coverage. So in my conversation yesterday with the client, I said, look, you need to talk to your agent. It's not going to help us in this accident because
Right.
it won't
It's already
apply.
done. Yes.
But going forward, it would if you got in a future accident. But you need to talk to the agent, find out what's the maximum amount of bodily injury coverage you can afford, and you need to match that with UM to protect yourself, because Florida has no shortage of people that are driving without insurance
in
or no
Miami,
BI.
half the people who drive a car have no insurance. When a police officer told, I couldn't believe that. But I don't know what it is in Broward or in Palm Beach, but half. I mean, what are the chances of you being in an accident and it's someone from Miami who doesn't have coverage?
Well, take
So
it
you're right.
extrapolate out a step further. Go through the whole state. There's people who don't have coverage. So I don't know what percentage throughout the state that is, but it's probably a fair amount. I would guess, I don't know, but let's say it's 25%.
Right.
Well, there might be another 25% or more that are driving perfectly legally, but they only have PIP and property damage.
Right.
So if they injure you, there's nowhere to recover from them unless you have uninsured motorist coverage to protect you against somebody who either doesn't have BI or has insufficient bodily injury coverage to pay for your damages.
You know, it's very important. We're going to go to break. It's so important that you do not talk to these insurance people, that you have somebody representing you, because you could absolutely say the wrong thing and not even realize it.
Yeah, it's a common problem when people come in and it's been a couple weeks since the accident. They've already spoken to the insurance company. So we always request a copy of that statement. And, it doesn't happen all the time, but, sometimes people, they don't, like I said, they don't understand why people are asking them certain questions. For example, in the statement yesterday, in the PIP statement, I explained to my client ahead of time, one of the things they're going to ask is your address. And why they do that is they run that address to see what licenses come up at that address. Because when you buy your insurance, your premium is somewhat based on the level of risk. So if there's more people in the house that are drivers, there's potentially more risk, and the underwriter, that makes your premium more. Well, she told me, look, on the police report, I moved. I don't live at the address on the police report, but I never changed my license yet. So is that going to be a problem? Well, sure enough, one of the things the PIP adjuster asked her was, do you know so-and-so? And she said, I don't know that person. Well, do they live at your address? And she said, no, I live by myself. So having had the discussion previously, I said, look, Miss Adjuster, the address in the police report, we need to confirm what address it is you're using, because the address she actually resides at isn't the address in the police report, and she's the only one that lives there. Because if they were to find that there was somebody else who wasn't disclosed, they might deny
'Cause they're going to look
coverage.
for that excuse.
Yeah, they don't want to pay your benefits.
Wow. So give everybody, we're going to go to break. Give everybody your phone number and your website address.
Sure. Our phone number is 561-272-8337. And you can visit us on the web at farnsworthlaw.net.
We're going to go to break. We'll be back with Shane Farnsworth when we come back from our break.
As an experienced personal injury attorney, Shane Farnsworth understands the key to success in your case. You are entitled to compensation for your injuries, medical bills, lost wages, and personal loss. Mr. Farnsworth will go to trial if you are not offered the fair settlement that you deserve. The law offices of Shane M. Farnsworth, VA, has established itself as one of the leading personal injury law firms in the South Florida area. They give all their personal injury clients a promise. If they don't recover monetary damages in your case, you will not pay any attorney's fees. Shane M. Farnsworth, VA, offers a free consultation to evaluate your legal case. If they take your case, they only get paid if they win. Whether you've been injured in a motor vehicle crash, slip and fall, workplace accident, or through the negligence of someone else, you need attorney Shane Farnsworth fighting on your side. Call now for a free consultation. That's 561-272-8337.
Box truck hit a car.
We're talking about auto accidents today, and we're with Shane Farnsworth. He's a local attorney here. He's in Delray Beach, but he also handles cases in Dade, Broward, actually anywhere in Florida, because we have listeners in Martin County. And he's been with us for a year. He's going to be with us every month. He's just you can tell, he's just such a great attorney, great communicator, and it makes it so easy doing this show. Before I forget, we had an email, someone who went through a dog bite. Do you recommend that they get, I already know the answer to this, they get an attorney? Or does it matter what kind of dog bite it is?
Yeah, you should definitely speak to an attorney. I mean, any time you're injured by the negligence of someone else or someone else's dog or, some sort of instrumentality they're in control of or could control, you should speak to an attorney. Dog bites, we've talked about this before, they could be a little bit tricky in that a lot of homeowners policies have dog bite exclusions. So, you want to find out, is
Who
there
would ever
insurance
think
available?
that?
Well, yeah. Well, and, obviously there's been issues throughout time with dog bites, and insurance
You
companies.
hear about them all the time.
Yeah, insurance companies want to limit their risk, and so a lot of them, they'll either have specific breed restrictions, or sometimes they just have an exclusion altogether as to dog bites.
Wow. So, yes, dog bite, again, call attorney Shane Farnsworth. This lady listens to the show every week, and I guess her daughter got a dog bite. So, she should be listening right now. Give out your phone number.
Sure. The phone number is 561-272-8337, and our website is farnsworthlaw.net. And one of the nice things about our website is that we have all our past shows from Ask the Experts.
Yes.
So if you go to the Ask the Experts tab, you can watch the previous shows. We also have a tab that is the FAQ tab. Those aren't from Ask the Expert, but those are also videos that have some common questions. I think there's 100 of them on there.
Listen, if it's not on the show, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, well,
We cover everything. There's, besides personal injury, we get a lot of people talk about slips and fall.
right.
And there's an older audience or demographics here in South Florida, and it tends to happen. There's people who trip and fall, and they should also contact you.
Yeah, the slip and falls, as I said earlier, that falls under the more general umbrella of personal injury cases. We handle those as well. Those can be tricky as well for liability, so you want to talk to an attorney as soon as possible. For example, I have a client that went into a box store about a month ago, and they had
This is a big retailer.
and they had a area where they put some molding on the floor, and the molding was there because they had some little file cabinets that had wheels, and they were trying to keep the file cabinets within that area. When she actually walked in, there weren't any file cabinets in most of the area, so she was looking straight ahead for the area she was going to. She was walking, and the molding is probably a good 1.5 to 2 inches off of the ground.
Wow.
She didn't see that. She hit it. She went down, broke her nose.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, she got some knee injuries, all kinds of stuff. They're already denying liability. They're saying,
Why?
"Hey, we don't think we're responsible for this." So, I don't think it's reasonable the way they had that, and so I expect we'll be filing suit in that. But yes, just to give you an
Is
example,
it hard to file? You see sometimes in stores they have the orange cones or, wet, slippery. Does that get them out of being responsible if someone falls there?
It can. I mean, one of the things, and I think we did a show on slip and falls. You have to be able to show that they, knew or could have known about the problem. It can't be just somebody drops some water and 2 seconds later you slip. But that comes into play when they have the cones, or, like for example, if you end up in a lawsuit, sometimes what will happen is you'll end up going through deposing somebody that's, a store manager, and asking what their procedures are to go around and check to make sure that areas are safe, especially, say, for example, a grocery store. So what are your procedures to make sure that, okay, well, somebody didn't drop, a banana or a grape and it's smushed up and it's been there for a while. So usually, they'll have those procedures, and part of what your argument is, they did, if they follow those procedures, it's obviously harder to get
Right.
compensated. But if you're able to show that they didn't, that helps with your case.
Well, I tell you what, if you ever need a personal injury attorney, you never know when you're going to need one. So I want you to write this number down. Give everybody your number again.
561-272-8337.
Attorney Shane Farnsworth. That wraps it up for today. We'll be back next week. Remember, next month, we start our new hours, 6 to 7 on Mondays and Thursdays with Ask the Experts. Everybody stay dry. We'll see you. Thanks, Shane.
Thank you.